channel, we are off on another adventure to explore the Far East. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Inspire to Travel with Bev. This time we are going to check out Myanmar. Myanmar used to be known as Burma. Sometimes it's still called Burma. It's a great location between India and Thailand. In the north, where the mountains and forests are, there's China bordering it. It is also known as the land of the Pagodas, and we will visit them on this video. It is a Buddhist country. There are lots of pagodas, temples, and Buddhas to visit. The country is beautiful. It has lakes and rivers and forests. There are unique characteristics which we'll explore at Inle Lake, where we'll see foot paddlers and some very unique cultural aspects. And then visit workshops where we see people making handmade products. But most important and can be the best part of your trip are the people. They're friendly and it's a joy to meet them. The people are wonderful, but there is some civil unrest and it's not necessarily safe to travel in Myanmar. So be sure to check that before you head out for your wonderful trip. Hopefully it will settle down and you'll be able to visit this beautiful country. Now for this video, we have 3 fun facts. First, there are fishermen that have a very unique style of rowing, where they traditionally leg row or wrap their leg around an oar and use that to propel forward. Second, there is an ethnic group where the ladies are called the long-necked ladies because they have brass coiled around their neck. And third, fun fact, there is a valley called the Valley of Pagodas in the center of Myanmar, and over time it has had over 10,000 pagodas and temples in it. We are going to start our adventure this time at Inle Lake. There is so much to see. It is the second largest lake. It's in the center of the country, and it has floating gardens. It has a whole community that gets their livelihood from the water. They fish, they have the gardens, and they live in houses on stilts to protect them from the water. The main mode of transportation is by boat from village to village. They have these simple ones. Some will have a motor on the back, and you will see women in the boats as much as you see the men. The little boats are easy to manage with one person, and they're quite stable. Well, not for me, but for anyone else. The houses, as I said, stilts. These are bamboo. The walls are just woven panels, which are quite cool in this weather, and they can park their boats underneath. They take their wares to market. They have long boats that they pack down and take it to market. They can be out all day fishing, which is a family business, and they use the nets, very fine nets, but they also use a basket. When they're out, if they need to fix the net, they just fix it right there. He's just sitting on the edge, very well balanced. If you have a motorboat, you just pull up to the pier, she brings a bucket of gas with a hose, and you fill your tank. There are all sorts of tours you can go on. You might just go down to the water and rent a boat and tell them where you want to go. I've mentioned the floating garden. They have almost like a farm. They have it all staked. You see the poles sticking up there. We saw them harvesting the mud from the bottom of the lake, and they would probably use that back on their farm. They are always working in the farm, cultivating it. Then they harvest it and they can take it on their boat to be sold or processed farther. Then there's always the fishing, and I've talked about the foot paddling. So they stand on one leg, they wrap the leg around the pole, and they learn it at a young age. I mean, this little guy's doing it. And you may see them doing it in a group, like for ceremonies or that. When you are on a tour, there are a few of these men that will come and pose so you can take a picture of them. And the balance they have is amazing. So there the leg is not around the paddle, but he does do that. Your tour will probably take you to visit the long-necked ladies, and they can tell you a bit about their culture. Traditionally, they're from the Kayan Lauri tribe, a small tribe, and they're known for wearing the heavy brass coils around their neck and some on their arms and legs. It is actually a symbol of identity, beauty, and wealth. The family we visited also had a weaving shop, so we got to see them doing that. Shui Indian is on the other side of the lake. It's another site to visit. They'll take you by boat, drop you, and you climb the hill. As you climb, you see all of these stupas and pagodas. They've been there for almost a century or more. There are gold ones, there are white painted ones, there are stuccoed ones. You can see many are falling apart. You see the brickwork underneath. You hear the tinkling bells as you walk. There are some you can go in if you're brave. You can see the fine work done with engraving and sculptures. Some are in very good condition, and others are starting to crack and fall. And you can see the trees are encroaching on it. It's being consumed by nature. It's very quiet, and you can walk through all of them, no one's stopping you. And you get a feeling of the history, perhaps what has gone before, but this is still considered a sacred area, even though there is so much damage. And then back to Inle Lake. You can decide on your next tour or just take a little bit of a break. We saw a parade on water. It's actually a rowing contest. It happens in the fall. They have these fancy barges, and the Buddha is inside the house at the back. The men have the fancy boats. They decorate them up with umbrellas. They wear kind of a uniform, and they pull these Buddhas from one area to a finish line of a temple. They are doing the foot paddling. They get the rhythm going, and they keep the rhythm by a boat that accompanies them right alongside with musical instruments. Now, several boats pull each barge. And then the unthinkable happened. One boat sank. It started going down. No one panicked. They just collected the fancy umbrellas and lights that they had and helped each other. But the parade went on, and we continued watching as they finished off at their destination. Next, you can visit where they make lotus silk. They have all sorts of industry around the lake, but they can make silk from the lotus plant. They collect the flowers on the lake. They can go to the temple or hotels, but it is the stalk they use to make the silk. So they cut it, they get the outside off, they shred it and start rolling the fibers inside and make a thread of silk from it. Then they get it onto a spindle. They will dye some. They can get different textures, very fine to rough. Once on the spindle, they can get it in the loom, and they had several looms. You can watch them as they set it up, and then they start weaving. They do various open textures, kind of, and then a tight one as well. There you can see them weaving. They still use the foot pump to keep it going. There's a different texture, scarf or fabric, and then they'll also hand paint some. Another handmade product are cheroos. They're like a small cigar. They also do some smoke and tobacco stuff, but cheroos are very popular. They use a corn husk filter. You can just see it there. Next, they add the tobacco leaves with also wood chips from tamarind or banana trees. They use the stick to help wrap it. They put the tobacco in, then they'll wrap it, put the leaf around the outside. Then they fold the end to finish off that part, but the other end has these filters sticking out. So they pile them all together and then get these great big scissors, cut the end where the filter is, and then wrap them nicely. They package them in these beautiful lacquer containers, and they'll all be slightly different flavors. They might have cinnamon in them or honey or tamarind. Apparently they can ship them internationally in these boxes, and they're in quite high demand overseas. In a nearby area, you can see how they make paper, handcrafted. They can get the fiber for it from various plants, even flowers. They have to soak it for 1 to 2 hours in a caustic solution to break the lignin. They rinse it and then pound it to get it into a pulp. Then they put that in water and mix it to get it more like a slurry. And then they dip it out with a screen. They tilt it and let it dry in the sun. They can add flower petals or any kind of decoration. And it might take a couple days, and when it's dry, they've got the paper they peel off, ready to use in other products like umbrellas. And right next door was this man making handmade umbrellas. He's doing the center top part on a lathe there. That center pole is what puts the umbrella up and down. He puts all the little bits of wood in to make sure it works, adds the paper, and then voila, umbrella. They seal it, do designs on it, and it's ready to use. There are so many other handmade products you might come across, such as where they make gold leaf. The gold leaf is used to put on Buddhas and decorations, and these men are hammering it into that fine, paper-thin layer so that it can be used and pressed onto the Buddhas. Another craft you'll see is embroidery. They do hand embroidery with silk threads and beads and sequins. They'll do it for temples or just decor, but it's very finely done. And one last place we visited, the Pindaya Cave. You climb up the side of a mountain to get to the entrance of the cave. It's guarded by the Chinth, as many pagodas and temples are. You go in, it's like a labyrinth-like gallery. Cave upon cave full of Buddhas. They think there's about 8,000 Buddhas being left donated by various people. A lot are covered in gold, as you can see. They have the gold leaf on them. Inside, you can wander through the caves and have a good look. It has taken centuries for all of these to be collected and left there. People pilgrimage to this cave. Back outside, you see these engravings and mosaics to represent the temple and the Buddha story. And now the iconic Valley of the Pagodas in Bagan. Bagan is in the center area of the country. It is the densest concentration of Buddhist monuments. It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This was the location of the first kingdom in Myanmar that pulled all the country together. There are from 2,000, 2,500 ancient temples, pagodas, and monasteries from as early as the 9th century. There's small, medium, large, there's all different sizes. And there are these pointed ones, there are square ones. The variations you see are related to the time that they were built. You may notice some of the buildings have Hindu influence in their designs, especially when you look at the engravings, the design of the outside, and even drawings inside. There are some that you can go inside, and you go in and up the stairs, and you come out and see this beautiful view of the valley. The whole area is very much a pilgrimage area with religious artifacts around. Archaeological studies are still going on. Some of the pagodas you can access from the outside, quite a climb, and again you get a beautiful view from the top, but you have to have some energy to get up there. You should make an effort to be there in the evening. The light changes across the valley, and some have lights on them. As it gets darker, it looks like the valley is on fire there. If your tour allows it, I would suggest you stay longer, and you can be up on one of the larger pagodas and watch the moon rise over the valley and the spires. Unfortunately, in 2025, some of the pagodas received damage during the earthquake, and they are working on fixing it and getting it back to what it was, but there is still lots to see there. And now there is one more site you might like to see, Golden Rock. The Valley of the Pagodas is amazing. You cannot miss that. If you get the opportunity to visit Golden Rock, it truly is a golden rock, but it's a temple, another pilgrimage site, and you aim to be there at sunset and watch the sun go down and the sun hit the gold on it. It is hard to get to, but it is also beautiful. And now that finishes Myanmar. Let's look at some memories. The water buffalo you see working. There are trinkets, a lot of them related to monks and religious icons. Amazing scenery from rivers to lakes to forests. Unique cultures where you get to experience and learn about how they live. And the Valley of the Pagodas, truly iconic. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Myanmar. Bagan and Inle Lake are true treasures, and they're worth seeing. I hope I've put a little seed in your head to make you think, oh yes, that is on my bucket list, when it's safe to travel again. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.